This is a Ford GT. And this is also a Ford GT. They both wear the same nameplate, were both built by Ford to celebrate Ford's racing heritage. What makes them the same and what makes them different? When Ford built this 2005 Ford GT, the point was to pay homage to their racing history from 40 years earlier in 1966. When Ford built this GT, the point was to win Le Mans like they had done 50 years earlier. And they did. In both cases, Ford had a rich racing history they drew upon for the design. I've owned this one for 12 years and put almost 30,000 miles on it. It is one of the most amazing cars I've ever not just owned, but driven. And I'm an automotive journalist. I've driven a lot of cars. Whether you want to talk about the performance it offers, whether you want to talk about the timeless looks, whether you want to talk about the durability, the low maintenance costs, the resale value, it's kind of an enigma in the car world. It's one of the most friendly cars you would ever drive aggressively.
It was also fascinating to get current Ford GT racer Billy Johnson's feedback on the 2005 version. He hadn't previously driven this generation, and he loved the pure, playful nature of the older GT.
There's been more than a few of these cars that have been crashed, and I think it's because people get a little aggressive and a little careless with the throttle. But if you actually put on the Bridgestone tires that are better than the Goodyear F1s it came with originally, you can turn this car into quite the performance vehicle and still drive it across the country. This is a 1960s design pulled forward to 2005. But this 2017 GT is all new, and I drove it for the first time today. Probably one of the most exciting cars produced in the last 12 years or maybe longer. A car was designed to win Le Mans from day one, and it already did that. It succeeded on the 50th anniversary, the same day 50 years earlier. This car won again. This street version of that car is probably the closest thing to a race car for the street currently available. You hear that term all the time. I hate that term because it's a cliche. I'm going to use it anyways because this time it's finally true. It's actually pure function. That's the fabulous thing about this GT. Everything that you think is maybe done for an aesthetic purpose is actually done for a functional purpose to help it win races. This is called the Flying Buttress, the single most dramatic design element that this car has. This is a functional piece of the cooling for the vehicle because the air flows through and gives it some downforce through here. It makes this charged cold air get into the engine compartment much more effectively. You can see a lot of the vents, they're pretty obvious. The air extractors and the front grille. But there's also things you can't see underneath this car. It's got what's called a zero keel or no keel design. It allows air to enter the front grille and be extracted through holes in the door here. It's helping to pull the car down and giving it incredible downforce and stability at high speeds. That's all supplemented, of course, by an active rear wing that will move up and down based on speed and on one of the 5 driver modes.
You could call it 2005 the most advanced American muscle car ever made. A precise and user-friendly 6-speed manual transmission adds to the man-machine connection in this GT. Its only nod to modern driver assistance technology is ABS. There's no traction control, stability control, or active aerodynamics. In contrast, the 2017 GT offers all the technology of a modern car, including Sync 3, Bluetooth, navigation, and 5 different driver modes. It's even got a telemetry system and mobile app for tracking and sharing the car's performance. There's also a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox with paddles tucked behind the race-inspired steering wheel. The seat position is fixed in the carbon fiber tub, leaving drivers to adjust the wheel and pedals to match their driving position. A wide spectrum of personalized options will be offered to buyers of the new Ford GT. These range from carbon fiber wheels and color-coordinated brake calipers to multiple interior and exterior finishes, including several contrasting stripe colors or no stripe at all.
One other big difference between these two cars is that this one's powered by a 5.4-liter supercharged V8 that makes 550 horsepower. This one's powered by a V6 3.5-liter EcoBoost, twin turbocharged, and it makes 647 horsepower. This one's also about 300 pounds lighter, at about 3,200 pounds, 3,100 pounds. This one weighs around 3,500 pounds. More horsepower, lighter weight, you can pretty much guess what happens. 0 to 60, 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60, 3 flat, some are saying 2.9 seconds. This one's top speed was certified at 205 miles an hour, not slow. This one's top speed's been certified 216 miles an hour.
Some enthusiasts will still question the use of a V6 engine versus the more traditional V8. But everything from curb weight to aerodynamics benefits from the EcoBoost V6. Ford even set up the engine controller to keep the turbos spooled in Sport, Track, and VMAX mode. This gives the engine big block torque and throttle response as soon as your foot brushes the accelerator pedal. Plus, Ford has certainly made this engine sound as good as any V8. You can bemoan the lack of cylinders on a philosophical level if you'd like, but functionally, this engine delivers everything the V8 could, and in a size and weight package a V8 can't match.
I did drive the car all day today, and what I can't believe is they've weaved together a race car that is still one of the nicest and most interesting cars to drive on the street I've ever experienced.
The GT uses an advanced pushrod suspension design normally reserved for race cars. It gives the new GT two different suspensions at the touch of a button. Not two different suspension settings, two different suspensions. One set of springs is effectively removed during Track and VMAX modes to provide a lower, stiffer ride for serious performance work. The other spring is added back for wet, normal, and sport mode, allowing the new GT to provide a wide range of ride quality and performance capabilities.
The bodywork on this car, which is all carbon fiber, the frame, the tub, it's all carbon fiber. There's more air management going on in this car than I think any other car produced right now. Massive technology that you wouldn't have been thinking about 12 years ago when they produced the last Ford GT. What's fascinating after driving this car is how somehow they managed to keep the same friendly, playful personality that the 05 Ford GT has. And you can get it sideways, you can drift the back end with full confidence because of all the feedback it's giving you. Wow, that's nice. I mean, you can totally tell what it's doing. You know, every moment you know what's going on.
Of course, all of this comes at a cost. At over $400,000, and with only 1,000 set for production, the chances of driving one, let alone owning a new Ford GT, are quite low. Throw in the car's striking bodywork and budding race pedigree, including a win at Le Mans, and it's likely to follow the earlier GT's path toward increasing desirability and value in the coming years. If you're one of the lucky few who has been allotted a new GT, congratulations. It's an amazing car.